just because you made a mistake once in your life doesn't mean that we should throw you away, right?
This is Climate Curious, the podcast for people who are bored, scared, or confused by climate change.
I'm Maryam, Pasha, the director and curator at TEDxLondon and the co-host of this podcast, alongside the amazing Ben.
Hi, I'm Ben Hurst, activist and advocate exploring what positive masculinities can look like, and self-confessed climate normie.
As most of you who probably listened to any of these episodes that we're recording at TED know, and you're probably tired of me saying how awesome the TED Fellows are, well, this is another one of how awesome they are. And we're really excited because today we get to speak to a new TED Fellow, part of the 2024 cohort, Royal Ramey, who is this is what I haven't done, who is, do you say co-founder? Let me just say, and chief executive officer. Okay. Who is the co-founder and the chief executive officer of the Forestry and Fire Recruitment Program. I have so many questions because I'm going to tell you, we've not had a firefighter on this podcast before.
Okay.
So this is a first. This is very exciting. Can you just tell us a bit about yourself and what this organization is?
So the organization is called the Forestry and Fire Recruitment Program, and we sit in the intersection between workforce development, criminal justice, and the climate crisis.
Right. That's real intersectionality.
Right. So it was inspired by my co-founder, Brennan Smith, and I, because we actually went to prison and had the opportunity to fight wildland fires while incarcerated.
Okay.
And in that time, we fell in love with firefighting and wanted to pursue it as a career, but it was pretty much simply, made clear that prison and public service don't mix, right?
Interesting. So, I think a lot of people, I'm very ignorant about what is happening, especially in the US, in the prison system. So, while you were incarcerated, you were fighting fires, and this is something that you kind of fell in love with. But then, when you came out, you couldn't do the same thing. Or there was not a precedent for this.
Yeah, it wasn't a true pathway.
Right.
So California relies on incarcerated people to fight wildland fires. And because it saves, the state millions of dollars. When you have a person that's making now, it's $2 an hour fighting fire, they might be close or next to a person that's making 80 to 100K a year, benefits retirement, and pretty much doing that same piece of work, right? Because you have folks that's working as municipal firefighters. You have people work as wildland firefighters, but, they make a pretty good, decent living, while they're out there, conducting these, fighting these fires. So it's a catch-22 because it's you learn the skills and the training while you're in prison, but it's not a opportunity for folks to believe and know that they can become a wildland firefighter once they come home.
So for you and your co-founder who both experienced this,
yes,
what was different? How did you carve this path? What did you do? How did you make this happen?
Honestly, it was, tenacity, commitment, persistence, wanted to be committed to excellence, right? And knowing that once we figured it out, of what is the A to Z steps on how to become a wildland firefighter. And once we got that formula, we knew that we wanted to pass it along to other people. I consider myself a modern day Harriet Tubman, and so I just wanted to bring folks to the north. I wanted to bring folks to the fire service, and it was an opportunity for me to, prove myself. Prove myself to myself, but also giving back to the community and people that's, that's in this non-traditional, unrepresented communities where, we weren't, pretty much introduced to wildland firefighting as a kid. That wasn't an option for us.
No.
So you have to go to prison, it seemed to be able to figure out that that's an option or that's something that you might be interested in. So I remember as a little boy just, looking out in the streets sometimes and just see these fire trucks pass back and forth, and I was like, I don't see nobody that looked like me, So, but when I got introduced to it, it was dope. It was something that I really wanted to, do and have a passion for. And I just like, all right, once we got that formula, we wanted to make sure we bring other folks along that had the same type of passion and commitment.
I mean, I have to say that wildfires really scare me. So I love that you were like, this is awesome. I want to be doing this all the time.
Right.
Let me switch gears for a second, because not everyone listening is going to know the situation in California when it comes to wildfires. Will you just give us a little bit of an overview?
So, wildland fires have been devastating and increasingly a terror for California for almost 100 years now. And as time went on, it gets worse and worse. One of the things that is really a problem is the climate crisis piece, right? The environmental piece, the forestry piece around forest management, and like why is California on fire, right? And a lot of it is the forest is dense. The pre-treating of it is really definitely a problem, and it's just a thing where I guess over this period of time, finding out ways to get cheap labor, right, and utilize that, and then it's politics around everything too,
sure,
obviously,
of course,
right?
Of course.
But one of the major parts is that it's a personnel shortage. When it comes to wildland firefighting, it's not enough folks, right? So that's why they utilize incarcerated people. That saves millions of dollars, or save the state millions of dollars to make it happen. So, but now it's right now you got 1,600 incarcerated people that's ready to fight fires now, but you got a 1,300 personnel shortage right now, and it's why are we not taking the folks that have the training and the skills to do it, right? And be able to give them a family winning career and reinvest in them, right? For them putting that hard work in, and them sacrificing their lives, because every time you fight fire, it's a possibility you might not come home,
right? And
everybody knows that. So,
and this is a really naive question because I don't know enough about firefighting. Mm-hmm. It's different to fight a wildland fire than it is to fight a fire in a city.
Absolutely. No, that makes sense. No, that's absolutely true. So how I look at it is this, a house or building or whatever is 4 walls, right? Usually those fires can last 30 minutes or 10 minutes, 30 minutes, a couple hours, maybe even a day, say. But a wildland fire, usually, that's really, massive and big, it could take up to 2 or 3 months to suppress the fire, depending on the topography, the terrain, the weather, and all that stuff. It definitely plays a big part. So it's just, those are the key elements. And you have these, what really makes wildland firefighting difficult is that you have these embers, right, that gets pushed up all the way in the air, and then it floats all the way 3 or 4 miles in front of where you're trying to put your line in.
It's terrifying.
Right? And then it floats, and then it drops, and it preheats the fuels, and then it's just something that it's hard to control, and you can have helicopters flying over because they can get damaged, right, in some way, shape, or form. So it's really difficult to contain, and that's why it's the strategy on wildland firefighting is okay, want to keep it north of this, south of this, east of this, west of that, and trying to protect artifacts or obviously save homes and life and property and stuff like that.
So what I'm hearing is that you have to be really trained, and also, as you mentioned, there are people who are in the criminal justice system who have been trained. Tell us a little bit about how you and your co-founder in this organization are creating that pathway for people. So
we created a career training program where it's an 8-week module, where 5 of those weeks they get all the certifications they need to get an entry-level position with the Forest Service or CAL FIRE. And the other 3 weeks is they go out into the field, right, to do fuel reduction projects. Yeah. We remove hazardous trees from different locations, or a homeowner, say, per se, your forest. We do brush clearing, weed abatement, do some wood chipping. So we're really proactive in the pre-treating or the prevention work when it comes to wildland firefighting, because you have a lot of homes that, we want to protect, obviously. And that's what, our clients and the public requires, right? But if it's not cleared around their house, like if you have brush that's like kind of draping around their home, it's very difficult for us to be able to, fight, So sometimes there's been points where I had to like look at a house and like, or pick and choose which house is like better fit so I can have a temporary refuge area. So say if it's a fire that's going crazy and it's around us, like we want to be able to clear out the spot to be able to help protect the home. But if it's not savable, then it's like I can't risk my life over, property. So that's what we do. And then we educate our participants in forestry management. They get an understanding of the ecological piece of it.
Right.
Because that's where I think some of our firefighters now today, they don't understand the maintenance and how to look at the forest as far as like the maintenance piece, right? And being able to manage and understanding how fuels grow and how to remove brush and what's a healthy tree, what's not. Like really understand those pieces and like what is a vegetation management plan look like and how we can be able to thin out the forest appropriately and right, so we can create a healthy environment for not only just ourselves as firefighters, but also the community and also the homeowner.
That's incredible. How is this work being received, I guess, by the powers that be that do this hiring and do this work?
So we got a big breakthrough. So the California governor, Gavin Newsom, he passed this law. It's called AB 2147.
Always a catchy name.
You said what?
Always a catchy name for these laws.
Right. And it took me a while to learn it, right, and make it sound cool. Yeah. It pretty much states that anybody that's been in California conservation camps have the ability to get their record expunged, right? So you go to fire camp, you can be able to get your record expunged. It's really based on the judge's discretion, but it pretty much opened the door for folks to talk about it in the media and figure out, like, because everybody kept saying, like, that's slave labor, like forcing people to go and work on fires in prison and not getting paid and compensated is wrong, right? And there's been a lot of folks like really pushing that narrative, which is dope. But at the same time, too, just thinking about the transition piece,
right?
Like, yeah, that's wrong, but like, who's the people that are going to be on the front line to actually, help folks navigate through that process, right? Like that's the, most important piece, and then like, it still takes a while for you to get your record expunged because you have to prove that you have been rehabilitated. So you go through my program that gives you some, notches, right? And then time, obviously, too. But that's really what kind of like put it on the map a little bit. Yeah. And it's been awesome. So
we were chatting before and you said something that really stuck with me, which was that, when you had to navigate this, there was no roadmap, and you had to really figure it out. And you said it before. And I think it's just, I think one of the things I've always seen in the conversations I've had with people who are trying to make the world better is to also help people not have to go through the same pain that they've had to go through and the same confusion and the same thing. And I feel like very much what you're doing is trying to create just an easier, more direct way for people who want to do this to be able to do it.
Absolutely.
It's awesome. What is your ambition? Like, where do you want this to go? Like, what's the vision?
So here's another fun fact for you. So it's 14 other states in the United States that utilize incarcerated people.
Right. Not just California.
Fires, not just California. So obviously that's something that I think about constantly, right? Of a person in the cell in Colorado, a person that's in fire camp in Oregon, like being able to help those folks would be ideal for me, and being able to take our model and kind of pilot it in different areas. Obviously, it's going to be different landscapes just based on the fact of like how many camps they have, how many people, what's the the personnel shortage, or like what's the workforce behind it, who's the employers in those states, and what opportunities they have, and like what about other like career support services they might need, right? Because it plays a big part in having a real foundation, a real support system that can help you get through some of the traumas and the things that you may need coming home, because not everybody has a different situation.
Right.
Like myself, like I had family support, you know, and as we got into this, like I realized, like, damn, like everybody doesn't have the same situation as me. So how can I bring in the different resources and different community-based organizations to help us out, and end up having some great partners with us that help us out when it comes to like this sponge support, and bringing on a social worker that actually was my case manager at one point. She got her doctor's degree, and now she works for me now, you know, which is dope. Shout out to Dr. Jenna Grimer. That's my big homie, I call her. My big sister. But you know, just being able to collaborate, because I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to like making change, is like trying to find those people that you can collaborate and ally with to be able to you know, push things forward, because you can't do it by yourself. You know, you definitely can't. So you got to be able to be creative, and even talking to the opposition and like really understanding where they coming from and how you can, you know, let them feel a little bit more comfortable. Why it's like, look, it's been people that, you know, don't like, you know, what I'm doing, but you know, when I have a conversation with them, they're like, man, like, you're a good guy, but like, what about everybody else, and what are their intentions, and what are they, you know, are they gonna, you know, mess up, or do they understand this is a lifestyle? Right. It's not a 9 to 5.
Right.
This is 24/7. You're a public servant, and it's like those are the things that we have to like instill into people. That's where leadership comes in. That's where that mentorship comes in, and being able to really pour into people and like believe in folks. Because just because you made a mistake once in your life doesn't mean that we should throw you away, right? Like, but it's not for everybody either. You know, firefighting is a tough job. It's mentally, emotionally, physically taxing. But I believe that, you know, folks that want to pursue it should have the opportunity to make it happen. So, and that's what I, you know, believe to know, and I proven myself. And now we helped over 200 people get jobs in the fire service, which we're very proud of. I actually have a graduation in Oakland, California on the 24th of this month. Graduating 24 folks. I'm really excited about their journeys. Obviously, we include women in there too. Like, we're real advocates for that. I'm really trying to focus on, you know, bringing more women into the program, and diversifying too. Like, not only just folks that's been incarcerated, I noticed, like even like veterans, people that's
right,
because they have a similar kind of like story as folks that's been incarcerated, like kind of have that's trained. It looked at as like a public service, because like when you go on fires, people have those signs say "Thank you, firefighters," and like they know that we do it. Like the dudes in the orange is the same as the dudes in the yellows or in the greens. So, but them coming home feeling like a hero, you know, and then like, what did I do next? Right. They have the structure.
That reintegration is hard.
It is, and like, but they have the paramilitary culture. They've been in danger, kind of in a sense. Like they kind of like understand chain of command, like, and they like the team cohesion, you know, the teamwork kind of like feel. So it fits in real perfect for those individuals as well.
Thank you so much for sharing this like vision and your like heart with us. It really is incredible to see. I think you just have such an incredible vision for how you bring together these different elements, and to use your own experience to improve all these different pieces of this puzzle that we're trying to fix just is incredible. And I really hope that we have you back in a few years and you tell us you've done it in all of those states.
Yeah, I might have 5 more years. I might have to go. Okay. I'm gonna have to go 2, 5, maybe 10.
Fine.
Like 14 states is a lot. It's a lot.
But
right?
I have no doubt. I have no doubt listening to you that you can do it. Thank you so much for taking the time.
All right, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this week. We really hope you enjoyed this episode.
If you did, please hit the follow button to make sure you get next week's release.
We are now officially crowdsourcing Climate Confession, so please leave yours in the ratings and the reviews section, and we'll shout out for you next time. And shout out to our fabulous team behind the pod.
This episode was produced by Josie Colter, artwork designed by Rebecca Mingus,
curation by Maryam Pasha,
mixed and engineered by Ben Beheshty,
Music also by Ben Beheshty
Presented by Ben Hurst
and Maryam Pasha. Remember, stay curious.